Alright, now that the hard part of my job is over, I can finally get to the good nitty-gritty of this, well, presentation of mine. Imperialism 2, Electric Boogaloo. God, why? Let's start at the beginning. Algeria is a North African country with a Mediterranean coastline, and if you have any idea of where it lies on the map, you know that France is right above it. Literally right above it. But before we get to French imperialism, we must know that the Romans first took over this place. They were the first rulers of this territory. Quite basically, the Ottoman Empire and the Aram-Amazigh dynasties from the 18th and 16th century.
Now hold on a second. You said something about the French, but you never finished what you were about to say.
Hush, 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 hush. We'll get to that in a minute.
Bro, you look like a...
Now that we're done with that random thought, we can get on to the information that is important at hand. French rule. And as I've stated before, the French were conveniently right above the country. And as you would think, before they knew it, the French were already on their doorstep, breaking down their walls and, well, imperializing the whole thing. Typical war. Nothing special. But what I don't think anybody has talked about this in one of my websites that I looked over and saw my information and given it to you. I don't think any of them told you how much of a reliability they have on that spacing in between both France and Algeria. When you're so close to a place that you want to imperialize, or some place that you need supplies or, say, firearms, you can't be too far away from it, or else some of those supplies might end up there 6 months later and you won't be able to use them at the time at hand. And they'll just be, well, it'll just be the wrong place, the wrong time. With France, though, they were so close to Algeria that it became such a scary concept that your enemies could literally the next day could come up to you with a cannon, 50 more cannons than they had last time. They could come with 700 more soldiers. Or 50 more bombs. That spacing between those two territories isn't that big, which is a tactical advantage at their part. All this French talk and all this, French historical effects makes me wonder, who was actually in Paris? Now, profit and effects. After the battle, the French realized that the other factor in taking this section of Africa was, now they had a chunk of what they could have in the future. You see, when you're imperializing, you want to be known for the biggest section or the biggest territory so that people don't really mess with you. Like, if you were like the small guy, the runt, everybody's gonna be making fun of you. You're gonna be like the last person to get, the good stuff. And in that moment, the French realized that they could basically speed run their way and conquer the rest of Algeria and through the Sahara Desert. This meant that they could slowly spread outwards like a virus and conquer other colonies if they were trying anything funny. And the good part about this is that they were so close to Algeria that if even anybody tried to take that territory for themselves, they would automatically know and send as many troops as they could to stop them from doing that.
But I'm not done yet!
For my conclusion, I will be listing 4 questions and answering them with the best of my ability, given all the research and information that I have found. First off, number 1, what is imperialism? Imperialism is the action in conquering or taking territory from a part or a chunk of land. Basically, conquering. Like I said before, conquering a nation and taking it as your own, using it for your own benefactor. Number 2, what has motivated nations to imperialize other nations? I would say that is power. I would say most, if not all, nations would want to imperialize other territories or other unknown colonies is because of power. Because they want to be the biggest, the strongest. They don't want to be the little guy that has the least amount of territory than the others.
You suck!
Like their contenders, America, back then, Britain and Russia. Number 3, how and why do individuals and groups resist imperialism? Well, that question would be answered by all of that history that we've seen just now today and back in 1962, if I recall correctly. In 1962, the Algerian people declared independence from the French because of the massive amounts of death, and if I recall correctly, torture that they had to go through. Prejudice, racism, the whole shebang. And last but not least, what are the lasting effects or impacts of imperialism? Well, just 7 hours ago, from Algeria to Rwanda, Macron tackles dark chapters of France's past. As I've said before, France admits to torture and murder of the Algerian nationalists and declassification of Algerian war files. So this stuff from all the way back in the 16th century still has an effect on today's people, and the outcome of that is, well, remembrance for the deaths and tortures of said people. One thing I would take away from this conclusion is that there wasn't a lot of examples I could find on people's opinions on what they had back when it first happened. All I could find was stuff back in like World War II or World War I. And that's what really troubled me about this, because I legit went on a safari to find anything that I could about this subject, but all I could find was later stuff, later information. But that's just my take on the matter. Be sure to list your opinions or possibly facts in the comments below, and that's all I got. That is my project. I can now rest knowing that I don't have to edit another 5 hours. Good night.
I'm a guy. Thank you, whoever.